This week's Media Spotlight guest is Joseph Duarte of the Houston Chronicle, who is currently making the drive from Boston to Hartford after his flight in to cover tomorrow's game. Joe, definitely appreciate the time, and thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So Houston came in off last week's thrilling 20-point fourth-quarter come-from-behind win over Memphis. Is that really a testament to how this season has gone for the Cougars, one where really nothing is setting them back at all?
Well, they hadn't really been tested all season. The last 2 weeks against Cincinnati and Memphis, both games came down to the last series of the game. And I think more than anything, it's a testament to kind of what Tom Hermans brought to this team, where they don't think they're ever out of it. He told us after the game last week that they weren't even looking at the scoreboard. They didn't know what the status was late. I mean, I find that hard to believe, but that's kind of how he has them kind of programmed, where they don't necessarily look at what's going on, and they just kind of keep playing their game. And the defense a couple of years ago would have never been able to shut a team like Memphis and Cincinnati down in back-to-back weeks, but they've proven in those games to be the difference down the stretch when both teams had a chance to win it there at the end.
Now, yesterday, the Board of Regents at Houston offered to double first-year head coach Tom Herman's salary to $3 million. You had the story. What's the reaction around that, and do you think that keeps him at Houston for the foreseeable future?
Well, it was a huge statement by the University of Houston. This is a program that has historically not paid that kind of money to any head coach, and when they hired Tom Herman last December, they paid him $1.35 million. That was a record for a football coach, and then to go and double it, as they put it, it was them making a statement that they wanted to keep and intend to keep arguably one of the hottest names, young names in college football right now. And it's basically now the ball's in Tom Herman's court. This is a back and forth, I believe, that's going to happen negotiation-wise. They did say the $3 million was the starting point, so I would imagine that if they do a 5-year deal, that they're looking to kind of incrementally increase the base salary each year. But just to be able to throw a Power 5-like salary number as the starting point says a lot about where Houston thinks it can go in the future with the next round of realignment and what they think of Tom Herman.
Now, if you're going to be out and about later tonight, you're going to experience the temperatures. What are your thoughts on the weather? Do you think it's going to have an effect on the kids from Texas? Temperatures are supposed to hit the 30s shortly after kickoff, so what are your thoughts on that?
I don't see that being a factor. Now, if it's windy, that's when you start looking at things more than the actual temperature. Tom Herman is from Oklahoma. He coached at Ohio State. So he's used to the cold. That's not something we get in Houston very often. It's something that long sleeves and some thermal underwear won't take care of. But the elements, if it starts raining, if it's windy, those are the things you look at more, the surface, slippery, that kind of thing. The actual cold, a lot of these guys have at some point in their lives played in some cold weather, so I don't see that being that big of a deal.
All right, I'm talking with Joseph Duarte of the Houston Chronicle. Greg Ward obviously got banged up in the win a week ago. I think it's his ankle. What's his status heading into tomorrow's game, and do you expect him to play?
Well, as the week's gone on, Greg Ward Jr. has practiced a little bit more each day. As of Thursday night, he had shown some improvement. It was a rolled ankle swelling early in the week. They feel like it's still going to be a game-time decision. And frankly, with the way that the schedule goes right now, and not to take anything away from Connecticut, but this may be a week that they just decide that it's best to let him rest, see how things go. If you need him, you put him in. But you go with the backup Postma. This is a guy who's coming off of he led them to a 20-point comeback win last week. He was the spark they needed. It was something Memphis had prepared for. Two different quarterbacks, although the moving around, family part, and the back of his ankle. I don't know if they take that chance this week and then risk further injury or setback. So big-time decision, but it wouldn't surprise me if Greg Ward Jr. plays very little or not at all on Saturday.
You did just touch on backup quarterback Kyle Postma. He was electric in filling in for Ward Jr. last week. What does he do well? You've probably seen him more in practice. We've only seen him in the limited action in that game last week. What does he do well from that position?
Well, he's more of a passer than Greg Ward. Now, not to take away anything from Greg Ward's passing, but Kyle Postma is more of a prototypical kind of pocket passer. But what I noticed from him that we hadn't seen because we just hadn't had an opportunity was that he actually is a pretty good decision maker when it comes to, if he needs to run, he runs. And there were a couple of plays that it looked like he was either going to be dropped for a loss or one in particular that he stumbled around midfield and caught his balance and ended up getting about 22 yards and set up a big touchdown. So, Kyle Postma is a guy that he was a walk-on back in 2013, I believe, to the Houston program. Just didn't fit. He went to a junior college for a year, went 12-0 at the junior college, came back this year. He was the third-string quarterback, then he became a wide receiver, actually caught a touchdown. Backup quarterback got hurt, so he moved back to backup quarterback, and then last week he was the starter. Not starter, but he came in the game. So this is a guy that's kind of moved around a lot the last 2+ years. But he's certainly a serviceable quarterback, and he probably started a lot of schools. But, just where he is on the depth chart here, there's just, kind of a backup role for him.
Now, switching gears to the defensive side of the ball, the Houston defense is obviously very opportunistic, I would say, leading the nation with 27 turnovers. How would you describe this group, and who's going to stand out individually on defense for the Cougars tomorrow?
Well, they're magnets for the ball. I believe it's 96 or 7 if you count the last, 2+ seasons. So that's their game. They come in bunches usually, and once they get them, what they do with it's incredible. I believe they alone have about 23 points they've accounted for with interception returns for touchdowns or safeties in the last few games. Very veteran secondary. Safety Adrian McDonald is the school career leader in interceptions, and you have the free safety Trayvon Stewart, who's the career leader in fumbles recoveries, and then you look probably their best defensive player overall, who's getting looks NFL-wise, is cornerback William Jackson III. He was held out of last week's game with a knee injury. It wasn't anything too serious, just sat him last week. He'll usually be assigned to the opposition's best receiver. But I think when you look at it, the meat of the defense and the heart of it really is the linebackers. They have two exceptional linebackers, Orlando Roberts, among the nation's leaders in tackles. And then you look at Stephen Taylor, he has 8 sacks. So those two guys right there in the middle are huge for Houston.
And then final question for Joseph Duarte of the Houston Chronicle. You kind of touched on this a little earlier with mentioning that this might be an opportunity for Ward Jr. to get some time off. Do you see any chance of a potential letdown this week after the dramatic win a week ago and then the pretty big game looming next week that's going to decide the West in the AAC?
Not with the Tom Herman team. In the past, I've seen Houston have letdowns, especially with games that were even at home, and they're probably the favorites. Tom Herman is a really good coach of keeping guys focused. For instance, 2 weeks ago when they had the Cincinnati game, he handed each player a laser pointer, and he had them turn it on in the dark room, and you can see all these red lights in different areas of the room. And then he had the whole team all at once focus on this sign at the front of the room, and it just kind of emphasize that, hey, the focus needs to be right there, right now for this week. So he's a gimmick kind of coach. He likes to pull out the tricks and the stuff that relates to the team and the kids. So we asked this week. He did mention the word trap. The trap game with UConn having 2 weeks to prepare, needing a win to be bowl eligible, just being at home. The potential to be looking ahead to Navy, but they got it out of the way. They talked about it on Sunday night, and I think this will be a team that comes in Saturday, Houston, and being very prepared and not looking ahead at all.
All right, thanks, Joseph, for joining. Definitely enjoy the Hartford area tonight, and I look forward to catching up with you at the Rent tomorrow.